Hi, I'm Ben from C1M, and in this video we're going to talk about how to secure your Binance account. So the learning objectives are to understand how and why you want to secure your Binance account and what the various pros and cons are of the different methods that you can do that with. First and foremost, why does security matter? Well, simply, if you lose access to your account, there's a very, very high chance you're going to lose access to all of the money that's in that account. And not just access, it's just gone, right? And it's cryptocurrency, so you're not getting it back once you've lost it. But this doesn't have to happen, and this video will show you the best ways to avoid that happening if you're using Binance as a place to store money. So, firstly, the number one thing you need to have in place is a really strong passphrase. Something that is not easily guessable, something that's not easily crackable by a brute force attack, which is where people use computers to work through all of the different combinations on your account. Something like 54-swearing-badgers-dance-75, the example that we have here, is a very much easier combination of things to remember than this gobbledygook down here. But they are both extremely hard to guess. So these are both great passwords, but this one is a hell of a lot easier to remember. It has everything you need. It has capitals, non-capitals, it has symbols, it has numbers. So a computer is going to find that very difficult to break, and a hacker is going to find it very difficult to hack, but you'll be able to remember this one a lot more easily. So it has a distinct advantage. It's very important that you use different passwords for every website, because that's a very common way that people will get into your account. If they find your password from hacking one business, let's say they get all of the passwords from, your email provider, for example, then if you're using the same password everywhere, they can just go and find you and just look at all the different accounts you might have and try that password. So really, really simple, easy way to avoid that happening. Don't reuse passwords. What you want to do is have something like a password manager, for example, LastPass, and secure that with a very, very strong passphrase, numbers, symbols, as shown in the previous slide, something you're very likely to remember. So it can be some key memorable information that means something to you. And then you can store that password if you are worried about forgetting it and then losing access to your LastPass account. You can store that password on a piece of paper and then put it inside a book. This is my number one top tip. Put it inside a book on your bookshelf. Something like, you're going to remember. Stick it in just in the middle of the book somewhere on a post-it note. Someone breaks into your house, they're not going to find that. They're not going to be looking for that kind of thing, and they're not going to be stealing your books, unless you've got loads of first editions lying around. Maybe don't keep it in those ones if you do. But that's a great backup situation. Don't stick it on your screen as a post-it note, because if someone does break in and you're away on holiday or whatever, it's a fairly easy way to have a negative outcome. The next thing is to always use two-factor authentication on your password manager so that you're extra secure. And I will go into what two-factor authentication is and how to set it up in this next slide. So two-factor authentication is where you have a secondary device which generates a code of some kind. It might be getting sent a text message to your phone from Binance, for example, when you're trying to log in. It might be that you have an app which generates a code which changes every 60 seconds. Examples of that are things like Google Authenticator and Authy. And so what would happen is you go to Binance, you enter your password, then it says, right, what's your two-factor authentication code? Now it can either be texted to you, as I said, or you look on your authenticator. You find the code, you type it in, and then you get access to your account. When you set up two-factor authentication on Binance, it's very important to remember you do get a reset code, which means if you lose your phone, for example, and you need to reset your access to your account, you get this big long code. And again, it's just screenshot it or print it out, put that in your book where you've saved your password for your password manager. Really hang on to that, because that will give you the ability to reset your account if you lose your phone. Super important. Otherwise, you're waiting for Binance support to get back to you and give you access back to your account. Obviously, this takes time. You have to do lots of stuff to prove you are who you say you are, obviously, because they don't want people just coming along and stealing people's accounts. So to save yourself all that time and hassle, just keep the reset code somewhere really safe. There's also something called multi-factor authentication, and this is, as the name suggests, where you have more than 2 types of authentication required. So in the example of Binance, it's a code from your authentication app, it's a text message code which is sent to your phone, and then it's a code sent to your email address as well. And that's the email address set up with your account. So you have to enter each one of these within 60 seconds before you can withdraw or make certain changes to your account. It's not always set up like that, but you should set it up like that. That makes it extra secure, because it's unlikely anyone's going to have access to all 3 of those things. So again, it's just adding an extra layer of security to the whole setup. So you have this set up for withdrawals for sure, but any major changes to your account, you really want to have that level of security enabled. As part of that extra layer of security, you can do something called whitelisting, which is where you tell Binance, these are the addresses which I say are okay for money to be withdrawn to, and anyone coming along and trying to then withdraw money to a different address, it just won't work. They can try, but unless they've got access to your authentication device, which is your phone normally, and your email account and your password, it's not happening. So you find it in your wallet under address management. You turn whitelist on by pressing this little button just here, and you add withdrawal address. And then from there, you would have to put in those 3 pieces of information again, coming from your phone, your text message, and your email address. And then you can add a new address. So let's say, for example, you have a ledger or an address off Binance where you want to send cryptocurrency to. You can add it into here, and then that just makes it super safe. So again, it's just another layer of security, keeping things safer for you on Binance. Some general advice about security. First and foremost, don't talk about how much money you've got to anybody. People don't need to know that. It might be tempting to go, oh, my Bitcoin's gone up by bloody, 10 times since I bought it or whatever, but that's just drawing attention to yourself. People are naturally jealous. You don't know what people are capable of doing. Just avoid all headaches by not doing that. Keep it to yourself. People don't need to know about that kind of thing. Likewise, and it's just an extension really of that previous point, don't post online about how many Bitcoin you've got or anything about holding cryptocurrency, because hackers are looking for that kind of stuff. And if you've been careless in the past and you've got an account which is easy to access for any reason, that's going to be it's going to put a target on your back, basically. And then, as I mentioned previously, don't share your passwords, don't reuse old passwords, don't write them on sticky notes, stick them on your screen. Don't make it easy for people to rob you. It's really that simple. There's just a few very simple steps you can take which make it a lot harder for people to get access to this stuff. So take them, otherwise you will be sorry at some point in the future. So the points to remember from this presentation, really a little bit of time spent setting everything up, and the smaller bit of extra effort you have to put in every time you log in or want to do something like withdraw or change features on your account are so worth it compared to what the results would be if you end up having waking up one morning and all of your cryptocurrency's gone. And then just a final note as well about phishing attacks, where you will be contacted by fake support or you'll get an email from what seems like the right email address. If any of those things ever ask you for your details, for your password, for usernames, for codes that you should never have to give them. Okay, that's not how these things work. You will be the one contacting support, and if you're not happy with if it feels wrong, always just say I'll call back, or find the right access point to get it. So it's either an email or address that you trust, a website address that you trust, or a phone number that you trust. So there's nothing wrong with stopping, calling back, and double checking. There's no need to be a victim when it comes to these things. So just be calm, be collected, be careful, and you'll avoid yourself a lot of headaches. So that is securing your Binance account.